the situation I wanted to talk about today was actually a law that was enacted in 1710 called Meritorious Manumission. Now, the reason I felt it was important to touch on that topic is because when we look at our society today and how much we as melanated people, as black people, don't trust each other, how many of us find ourselves, siding with either white supremacy or siding with something that's opposing your brother or your sister. And it's important that we understand that a lot of these mentalities have been created and manufactured over time, right? So in 1710, the Meritorious Manumission Act was enacted in Virginia. Now, it was basically the legal act of releasing slaves for good deeds as defined by the national public policy. Now, the freedom could be granted to a slave for doing a number of things. It could be for saving the life of a slave master. It can be creating an invention a slave master could profit from, or the most commonly used the most common way this law was used was in the form of what we would call today snitching, where a slave who decided that they wanted to be free, they would, tell or snitch on a slave that they knew was going to organize a revolt or run away. Now, it's critical that the melanated family understands how big of an impact this law had on not just our community, but on our psyche as well, right? Because if you look at the 200 plus slave revolts that were attempted from around 1710, I would say, to maybe the late 1800s, most of them were unsuccessful for one main reason. And that was basically a Negro who was scared or felt that they wanted a better seat in the house or a better seat with master. They would tell on any slave revolt they knew that was going to be forming, even if they didn't have a lot of information. They just used that tactic to free themselves. And this was a thing that ran rampant in our community at the time. And this was one of the many tactics that the dominant white society used to create separation and mistrust within our community.